finger on what is going on in Israel, despite the fact that Christians are being murdered all across the world, and Israel is supplying the arms for Christians to be murdered in Armenia. They don't talk about it. It's just a topic they don't want to talk about. What is the reason for that insistence? I think it's because, they're going, whether you want to or not, we are planning another war. And this article popped up in the Jerusalem Post yesterday. It says the IDF knew of Hamas's plans to kidnap 250 people before the October 7th attack. Okay, well, that should make everybody uncomfortable. I will read what they wrote verbatim in the Jerusalem Post. It reads, a newly surfaced document has revealed that the Israeli Defense Forces and intelligence systems had detailed knowledge of Hamas's plan to raid Israel and kidnap 250 people weeks before the October 7th massacre. The document, which was compiled in the Gaza division, outlined Hamas's intentions and was known to top intelligence officials, according to a report by Can News. The document, titled Detailed End-to-End Raid Training, was distributed on September 19, 2023, and described in detail the series of exercises conducted by Hamas's elite units. I'm going to pause right there and say that I recall when Charlie Kirk had raised this question, and he obviously is remarkably pro-Israel, about whether or not they had this intel and allowed this attack to go on for other reasons, they suddenly called him an anti-Semite. When he said, listen, I've been to Israel, I've also been to Israel, it's the size of New Jersey, there's a military presence every 5 feet, and yet this attack went on for 2 hours. Then we shortly learned thereafter that Egypt said that they had also informed Israel that there was an attack that was going to take place, and they ignored that. This makes me uncomfortable, okay? This makes me uncomfortable because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that they would ignore all of this, that they would have this intel dating back to September, and that they would choose to ignore all of this. It doesn't make sense when you recognize the conversation that is being had right now, which seems to be like they've already decided on World War III and we're all getting drafted into it. And it doesn't make sense when you see the amount of censorship and the attacks that are happening to any person that stands up against it. So let me be clear on where I stand on this. Not a single American should be sent overseas to die for Israel. Period. Point blank. Do not care what you want to call me. No more Christian blood should be shed overseas. Okay? When we can't even ask questions about this, the Jerusalem Post can talk about it, but if we talk questions about it, then Americans are smeared and liable and threatened to lose their jobs. If I can't even talk about a nation that I'm going to work for because they're taking our tax dollars, no, I'm sorry. I am just way off of this wagon. I want nothing to do with this. American troops should not be involved in any overseas conflicts, but least of all an overseas conflict that we're not even allowed to critique. So that's where I stand on that. And later on this week, I'm planning on having a pro-Israel voice back on. We're in talks trying to figure it out so that we can provide, equal time to both sides, because we did have Brianna Joy on last week and just to talk about her being fired. But we also want to make sure that we allow pro-Israel voices to be heard out. I don't have an issue if you're pro-Israel. I just am saying that I don't want to be involved in your war. Take that as you want. That is where I stand on it. No more shedding of Christian blood anywhere. All right, guys, now it's time to get into some of your comments regarding